In this lecture, let's look at an example of average rate of change. Calculate the average rate of change of the function f of x equals to x squared minus x plus 1 on the interval from 0 to 3 and on the interval from -1 to 1. Then illustrate this average rate of change graphically. Just a quick recap. The average rate of change is the slope of the line when we connect from f of x from one point to the f of x to another point. And the value means the average, increment, or decrement of the function as we move one unit in x. And to find the slope of a line, we use delta y divided by delta x. So to answer part A, the average rate of change over the interval 0 to 3, it would be change in y divided by change in x. Change in y would be f of 3 minus f of 0. And change in x is 3 minus 0. So let's find f of 3 and f of 0. F of 3, we substitute 3 into the function. We get 9 minus 3 plus 1. Then minus f of 0. We get 0 minus 0 plus 1. Then divided by 3 minus 0. In the numerator, we have 9 minus 6 plus 1 minus 1. That is 6. So the average rate of change is 6 divided by 3, which equals to 2. How about part B? The average rate of change over the interval from -1 to 1. So we use the same approach. It will be the change in y divided by change in x. Change in y here would be f of 1 minus f of -1. And divided by change in x, 1 minus -1. F of 1 is 1 squared minus 1 plus 1. Then minus f of -1. F of -1 would be -1 squared minus -1, that would be plus 1, then plus 1. And divided by 1 minus -1, which is 2. In the numerator, we have 1 minus 1, so that cancels out, then plus 1, then minus 1, that cancels out with a 1 in front. Then inside the bracket, we still have plus 1 and plus 1. So in the numerator, we are left with -2. So the average rate of change from -1 to 1 is -2 divided by 2, which is -1. Now let's look at part C. What would be those average rate of change means graphically? Remember I said that the average rate of change is the slope of the line when we connect 2 points on the graph. So the blue curve shows the function f of x. We found from part A that the average rate of change from 0 to 3 is 2. That means when we make a line that connects 0 and f of 0 to 3 and f of 3, this line will have a slope of 2. And from part B, we found that the average rate of change over the interval from -1 to 1 is -1, which means when we connect the 2 points, -1 and f of -1, and 1 and f of 1, this line, the green line, it has slope of -1. And that is the end of the lecture. In the next lecture, let's look at an example of piecewise function.